In 2022, 5 female athletes died by suicide. These women were successful and talented. However, those accomplishments did not guard them against their struggles with mental health. Approximately 30% of female athletes experience some sort of mental health issue, and these numbers are continuing to rise over time. This number makes it clear that mental health crisis is affecting female athletes more seriously than we think, and it's something that should not be ignored. By recognizing and addressing these challenges, it is essential to support their well-being and ensure that they are being successful. When we think about Simone Biles, she was one of the greatest gymnasts of all time. At the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, she withdrew from the women's team final as well as from her individual events, saying that it was due to mental health issues. Her decision was very controversial. However, in my opinion, I think it was a very courageous act. She was just trying to prioritize her health, and I feel like it was a sign of strength rather than a sign of weakness. Her decision drew worldwide attention to mental health issues that a lot of athletes face. Her willingness to talk openly about these struggles helped reduce the stigma around asking for help. Simone Biles has become a spokesperson in supporting therapy and self-care. The other example that I did some research on was Naomi Osaka. So in 2021, she also withdrew from the French Open tennis tournament due to serious mental health concerns. She was described as having long bouts of depression and waves of anxiety, which was totally normal for athletes to feel some sort of anxiety. In their sport, it often leads to good performance, but when it comes to overwhelming, it can create a negative impact on their performance as well. Female athletes are often celebrated because of their physical strength and endurance, but behind closed doors, a lot of them struggle with emotional pain and mental health challenges. Balancing schoolwork, intense trainings, competitions, and maintaining a social life is the expectation to always look the best, but it can be overwhelming. So we need to ensure that the success of athletes does not come at a cost of their well-being, and that investing in mental health and support for athletes is made a priority.
So what causes these mental health issues in women athletes? So female athletes face very unique pressures just in their athletic life, such as body image. You might want your body to look a certain way, depending on the sport that you do. Performance expectations, you want to perform to your best ability. You want to do well for your team, and you just want to do well for your family. I know for me, I'm a perfectionist. I think perfectionism is a great problem amongst all athletes because we want to be perfect, and when we're not, it's super hard to cope with that. Scholarships can be another huge factor. We want to perform so that we feel good enough for the scholarship that we are getting. And so there are a lot of factors that come into play when it comes to female athletes and their mental health. And I think it's important that we are aware of these factors so that we don't let them get too ahead of themselves. So mental health, as we have talked about, is so common in women athletes. I know I've experienced it before. And so it's important for yourself and for those around you to know what warning signs to look for. So a big one is changes in mood or personality. So if you see your teammate suddenly looking irritable, feeling detached, or getting really angry, just outbursts of anger, it could be a sign that something deeper is going on, and you might want to check on them. Declines in performance and or motivation. Now, we all have off days. That is a normal thing to happen. So when I'm saying declines in performance or motivation, I'm talking about when every single day of training feels heavy, it feels hard, you don't want to train anymore, and someone who used to love practicing all of a sudden doesn't anymore. Sleep problems. If you notice yourself or a fellow teammate having a hard time falling asleep, sleeping too much, it could be a sign of a deeper issue. There's also constant fatigue, unhealthy changes in eating or body image, isolation, negative self-talk, decline in confidence, and we could talk about these all evening long. There are so many warning signs. I think the most important thing is that we are there for each other and that you are aware of how your teammates are feeling and that we are always uplifting others. We mentioned some of these in our resource guide, but there are so many resources for women with mental health struggles. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to change the camera. But there are websites such as the Women's Sports Foundation, the McLean Hospital Athlete Mental Health Program. Instagram and social media is such a great tool for some of these things if you know where to look. The athletes mental health Instagram page is it's a good place for athletes to go who are struggling with these things, has so many resources, has so many people to just confide in, share experiences with, and just really help each other. The Sports Food and Mental Health Instagram, she is a certified therapist and a mental health coach for athletes, which I think is so amazing because she understands what an athlete going through mental health issues might be going through. And podcasts as well. There's so many great resources. The Female Athlete Podcast is one really great one. It focuses on mental health, hormones, recovery in women athletes, and women athletes are so complex. And so it's important to understand that hormones and recovery and all these things do take a play into our mental health, and as well as the Mindful Athlete podcast. There's so many more resources in addition to these ones as well. And to conclude, it's so important to know that you are not alone. I know for me personally, I really confided in a lot of my teammates when I was struggling with something, and you find that a lot of teammates are struggling as well. It's important that you are all there for each other. And if you're not an athlete, these are all great life things as well. We are all struggling sometimes, and it's important that we are there for each other. It's important we understand that we can get help, that there are resources out there, and that these problems will not last forever, and that you will be back to feeling like yourself in no time when you take the necessary steps to help yourself and to help others.